Good day, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where in under 1 hour you will learn a modern satsang technique for acquiring peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the event facilitator for today. But first, I'd like to give a brief introduction to this weekend workshop. If you'll direct your attention to the screen, you'll see the first element is satsang. Satsang is a scientific method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. No physical or no special physical skills are needed, and no prior spiritual accomplishments are required. No experience in meditation is required to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, sat and sang. Sat means positive energy. Sang means to be with or in the presence of. Combined, the word satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element, meditation. Meditation is an important element of satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw our consciousness from worldly objects and direct them inward towards a single thought. Through the practice of meditation, our minds become calm and cleansed and moves us closer to that state of enlightenment or peace, light, and love. Next, inner and outer satsang. Outer satsang is an example of that would be chanting or participating in a pilgrimage. Through outer satsang, we can modify our behavior, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we achieve higher states of consciousness, such as nirvana, and obtain states of peace, light, and love. The satsang method that we will use today is an example of inner satsang. Group orientation. These sessions, weekend sessions, are structured for group meditation and group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is enhanced and our progress along the spiritual path is expedited. When you attend weekly sessions, the benefits of group meditation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. Joy is the longing desire of the soul. Deep peace is synonymous with joy. And as we practice satsang, our inner happiness is continually increased. So much so that this inner happiness ultimately culminates in a joyous state, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Next, the agenda. These sessions are divided into these weekend workshops are divided into 3 sessions. The first is the informative session. In the informative session, a lecture will be given about a satsang topic, the founder, or some spiritual relevant topic. During the practice session, you will be given instruction on how to meditate. Afterwards, there will be a session of practice. The last is the interactive session. During the interactive session, you'll be allowed to ask questions or there'll be a group discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj. Since an early age, he has traveled throughout India spreading satsang. Upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to conduct satsang for satsangees. Around 2005, he started online satsang, where people from all over the world were able to participate, even those in the remote villages of India. He continues to carry out his charitable mission of teaching all who are willing to learn, regardless of race, color, or creed. Currently, he travels throughout India and the United States conducting satsang, while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as established by Guru Maharaj. And now, I'd like to introduce Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji, our facilitator for today.
Thanks, Eddie, and welcome everyone. Happy Saturday. So I think I was just thinking about my visit to India, and um, because the whole focus for me is satsang usually when I go to India, and all the events were satsang events. Um, it always recharges the batteries quite a bit. And this time, I think it was very, very special. And so so it seems to me that a road show for inner peace has started. So post pandemic, having some, you know, sessions, in person sessions here in US as well. So we're starting with the Southbury, Connecticut, the first weekend of November. And I think we will, uh, you know, uh, probably have a schedule pretty soon. So talking about inner peace, it's interesting. So while I was, you know, I always find that when I am, when I take this long flight, it, for those many hours, you're kind of disconnected with everything because some of these flights still don't have Wi-Fi. I usually don't download anything to watch, and it's just me and uh, the whole. It's it's I have always found that travel and spiritual journey, I think, have lots in common. A lot of unpredictable things, and it one place Guru Maharaj has written that when you go to uh, you know uh, almost like unknown place, nobody knows you, you kind of your ego gets you know balanced as well, because so you feel a bit detached because a lot of things that you're attached to are not there. And you're you know because people don't know you, people so parts of the journey for me are like where detachment, you are uh, you know on the ground from an ego perspective, all that happens. And so it always inspires me to think a little more deeply. And I think, Yuan, if you can bring that slide. So the entire inner peace, like why we are struggling with inner peace, why it's so elusive, what, uh, you know, what happens, what shatters our inner peace, and what the solutions are. So so I tried to summarize that in this slide. Yuan, can you bring that back? Yeah. So I think in one of the question and answer sessions, you know, Guru Maharaj talks about finding an ocean of peace is what he was after, and what he feels every human being should be after that, and hence it should be the universal religion. So that was, so then it's kind of like peace you always feel inside, but most of us are searching for peace and happiness outside. So calling it inner peace, while it's the same thing, it's just because you ought to find it inside, and you have to find it inside, you got to figure out some inner pursuits. How do you create this journey towards the goal inwards? And I think you know Eddie always talks about this inner satsang versus outer satsang. So there is a difference. Outer satsang prepares you for the inner journey. And interestingly enough, the the other thing that Guru Maharaj found in his own life, and then he kind of talked about it, that the easiest way to find inner peace is to find someone who's at peace, and learn from them, imitate them, observe them, and basically that's also called bhakti or upasana, which is basically meditation in one way, shape, or form. So let's revisit the pyramid in this context. So Yuan, can you bring a newer one, the one that we used last month? Is that there? Yeah, yeah. If you can make this bigger. So, um, so the first thing I talked about, you know, um, was, if you have to go north, but your direction is south, so however fast you go, you won't find the destination. So peace could be elusive if you're searching in the wrong place. And this, illustration, it makes it very obvious. But in our lives, I think, you know, and last last session on Tuesday, I also kind of raised this kind of raised a question in me, that why a lot of people around us, including our parents, our friends, a lot of people, even if they know that the lasting peace is not in acquiring material possessions, why uh, the culture and the pressure from the near and dear ones continues to push us in that direction. And maybe that ties into this, safety and security aspects that need to be taken care of. Or, I mean, I would also, and if I turn to myself, I would also say that, you should be successful in your own realm, but that does not mean that you give up this vertical journey. So it gets complicated, but the thing is that most of us in the realm of the world would just continue to do things which they think would provide peace and happiness. So until and unless some situation, some event, something, happens, that inspires them for this vertical journey. So when the vertical journey starts, the first one is where activity-based meditation or even outer meditation, becomes relevant. And that is how you know, it's like the change has happened, but you can't just go immediately into like deep inner meditation. So you need to take help from, repetitive activities or devotional activities or, you know, so here, desires, emotions, and events in the outer world continue to make this peace transient, but you still see some glimpses of inner peace. And then once, like after doing mantra for a long time, or you know, doing certain devotional activities, you eventually your mind becomes prepared for much deeper meditation. So I think this inner meditation, or heartful meditation, that becomes relevant at the realm of the mind. Here, clouds of emotion appear and disappear. So there are uh, times when you are feeling, cool, calm, and quiet, but then there are other times when you're not. And then so till here, we call it the lunar phase or of the journey, where in the solar phase above this, you have your own light, and you know so that is where the light, and then love, and then peace. So 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 I think the first three are just, you know where you have to really, it's like that's where the effort is required, guidance is required, and you are, you know you are getting to that point where the inner light, from inner meditation, the inner light pops up, which you know creates this tremendous clarity and thought on purpose, on and then that makes us understand how we are connected with nature and with people around us, and that brings a deeper, and it's inherent in us, but that just, becomes so much more real for us, that love, and that leads to peace. So anyway, I think uh, we'll bring this back and have some discussion on it after the session. Um, but for now, let's to get to this vertical progress, and let's the inner pursuit, the inner meditation. Let's focus on that the way Guru Maharaj prescribed it. Relaxed posture, which is very important, because every time we move, the body, the mind gets distracted with it. Eyes lightly closed for the same reason. And then think of this tremendously positive, transcendental energy in form of light right here with us, in front of us. Feel that presence, and that light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are getting completely immersed in this light. If mind if mind wanders away, bring it back to this thought and this thought alone, that this light is in front of us, entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. Let's start now. How's everyone? Happy Saturday. Those, Eddie, how are you?
Saturday, everyone. Good to see you all. Good to be here to meditate with you. Always, always. All is well. Good meditation. I enjoyed your insightful talk beforehand. The thing that I guess resonated with me was when you were talking about how sometimes our loved ones prioritize like safety, I would say, over spirituality. I mean, not everyone. Some families do prioritize spirituality. Those that are graced with the knowledge of how very valuable that is. But you can't blame family that wants to protect you by pushing you to do well. But it would be great if spirituality is always prioritized because that is so important. So that's what resonated with me.
Yeah, I think culturally, I think if we look, um, when I, uh, like in India, there were like was an ancient tradition to send the kids to Guru's ashram to study, right? And maybe even, you know, um, but I don't know. It's like, um, see, it, one of the things that, um,
And just to jump in very, very quickly, in, about what you just said about how sometimes some families would send their kids to the ashrams. I know that in Thailand, I'm pretty sure there was at some point, if not currently, a tradition of sending of young boys from a certain age to like 12 or something, all sort of
yeah,
like enter into some kind of monkhood, like they become monks for a short time. Like, um, that's pretty remarkable. That's pretty cool actually. So
yeah. See, I think the crux of the matter is, um, you know, somewhere along the way, uh, that spirituality and doing well in the world don't go well together. Um, I think that is one of the other things that needs to be understood a little more, right? Um, it's um, you know, going to an ashram versus a monastery or the church, uh, versus, where you are, what you're doing, what you're studying. You can still continue to evolve spiritually, and do justice to both. uh, that becomes the art and science. It's
and I actually think spirituality will only help productivity. I think it would only assist, in fact, vastly in anything, any endeavor that you choose. I
yeah,
really think that they're very symbiotic, but I think where it begins to maybe not so much. I mean, the work, if there's a space for work and a space for practice, spiritual practice, that's one thing. But I think it's what you do with the results of the work, like the success, the financial success could impede, it could possibly impede spiritual progress, because
yeah,
there's always this desire for more and more and more and more and more. And I see it with friends that are very
mhm,
wonderful people. And,
yeah, yeah,
even with myself, I shouldn't even point to
mhm,
friends.
mhm,
Sometimes to myself, but especially some friends, like they're very highly devout, but they're also into like the latest iPhones. I mean, I'm not saying that that's bad, but it's sort of, they're very, Louis Vuitton bag, and it's just sort of like,
right.
like that's a really big divide. I'm not criticizing. I love them, and I do. They are faithful, but I just think sometimes that is what could be distracting.
Yeah, yeah. What I found fascinating was like when Guru Maharaj describes devotion, he says, you can be devoted to a country, you can be devoted to making money, you can be devoted to, uh, you know, like we have so many relationships and we could be devoted to some of these in our lives. And um, so we are, I think, naturally inclined to be devoted to doing something. So the question is like, what should we be devoted to? And I think then it comes down to balance. Like, how do we create that balance? So, Eddie, what do you say? Or Arvindji?
Yeah, I sort of resonated with what you said about the need for vertical movement to achieve that inner peace. Um, because most people want inner peace. Well, all people want inner peace. They're just going about it the wrong way. As Lou said, that if I get that next purse, that next Louis Vuitton, that'll give me sort of the joy and the peace and happiness that I'm looking for. Unfortunately, we know that's not true. But what I thought was interesting is, when you try to offer advice or try to help people, if you've experienced this path, this satsang, you've been doing it for a while, you know the results, it makes you feel good, makes you feel happier, you feel more in control of your life, and you get the sense that it's going in the right direction, so we're starting that vertical ascent, that vertical movement that's necessary to achieve inner happiness. But if you try to share that with someone, it sort of goes in one ear and out the other, is because they don't have a realization yet that what they're doing is the wrong thing. So, in other words, pursuing happiness and joy and peace through the acquiring outer objects or objects in the outer world, because they don't feel like they need help yet, and that takes some time for a person to feel overwhelmed or uneasy and to realize that they need help. Um, you contrast that to taking someone to the middle of the Amazon, and dropping them off. Immediately, they know they need help. They know they're lost, and they'll readily take help from the first native that comes by, without a doubt. They have that fear. They know they can't survive in that environment. They want help. But here in the world, they're not there yet. If you tell them to go north, they're going to say, I'm going to go south because, I feel that I can do that. And it's pretty safe. You can go south. It's in the opposite direction of where you want to go, but you don't fear for your life. And as long as that fear is not there, they're going to continue to do what they want to do. As long as they don't experience agony and pain, they're going to continue to do what they want to do. And they're going to pursue this, inner peace through these outer objects. And that's sort of what Guru Maharaj, I imagine, realized. And so he said, you know what? He said, folks are going to continue to do what they want to do because the inner soul, the jiva, says, I'm associated. This outer world is where we want to be. I'm going to direct my consciousness there. I need you to keep bringing me material things, because if you just get the next one or the right one, we'll achieve that happiness or that inner peace that we're looking for. So Guru Maharaj realized that, and he said, "Look, go ahead, do that. Go south as much as you want, but stop at a rest stop 2 times a day and practice this method. And if you continue to do that, you know, um, eventually you'll get that inner happiness that you're looking for." And so I think that was Guru Maharaj's solution to getting us on the right path, given the predicament that we're in now, where we seek happiness through the outer objects or objects in the outer world. And so when you talk about getting to that, that vertical motion, that vertical ascent, I think that this method is, the way that to do that, basically.
Yeah. So, Arvindji, anything you want to add?
Namaskar, Bhaiya. And happy Saturday to everyone. Not much to add, really. Just the thought that came to my mind was staying connected, as you used to say, stay connected. So staying connected with Sadhguru is like staying connected with the satellite, the sat nav of our heart should stay connected with the satellite. Otherwise, we end up often, as Eddie was saying, going south, perhaps when we didn't intend to go south. And so Guru is one that protects you from going south and prevents a fender bender and helps you go in the correct direction of travel. And the other thought that came to me was the bliss and the peace that happens in satsang through Guru Maharaj's grace that comes through you. Is trying to describe that is like trying to describe mom's homemade apple pie or ruh afza sherbet. The moment you take it off, that you can't describe that feeling. So that's all. Namaskar, everyone.
Mhm. Namaskar. So Shivangi, how's the India trip going?
Namaste, Viyaji. Namaste, everyone.
Namaskar.
The trip is going well. It's going well. Um, it's nice to see. I'm seeing my family after 3 years, so that's nice. But yeah, I'm glad I'm able to join these sessions. It's 8:30 p.m. here, so this is a good time to join the
Yeah.
satsang.
Not like the other one, which was 4:30 a.m.
Yes, not like 4:30 a.m. So yeah, things are going well. And we're having a really good discussion right now. This is something that I often think about as well. Right, you're trying to, you know, do good and like be successful and like with the job, like I mean, I'm thinking about like what are my next steps, and then again, it's like you fall into the trap of greed, or like, you know, if you want something you don't get it, then your inner equilibrium is disturbed. So all the things that we talk about maintaining here and keeping like the peace and the inner balance and calm, I feel like really going after those things in life sometimes come and disturb that. So um so yeah, I guess just keeping with the practice, um and Guru Maharaj will help us,
Yeah,
stay on
see,
the right
first,
course.
yeah, like before things turned and I started sharing this with others, for me, it was always, satsang was always in the background, but foreground was all the other things that you do. So it was almost like you have an energy source that you connect to, and then you utilize that as Luz was saying. I mean, spirituality should help you to do better in at work, in your relationships, in trying to do anything that you intend to do. So I I think we all have some way, shape, or form to figure out how to keep yourself energized, and uh, you know so so this just becomes one way where you um, you know stay connected, stay positive, stay focused, improve your concentration, and so on and so forth. So um, yeah, I mean, the yeah, anyway. Ajita, how are you?
Divya. Hello, everyone. I'm also good. Happy Saturday, guys. Yes, I'm doing it as well. I was just wondering. I mean, what instead of supporting or pushing our family members towards worldly pursuits, sh- should we be doing something else? Kind of.
Yeah, that I think so. If I almost feel that if I knew the answer, that wouldn't be such a big question. So interestingly, I prepared this, and I felt that the whole inner peace talk went pretty well. But what got left um, in me was this question, that is this really true that you know a lot of us are going south instead of north? And um, so one thing, like sometimes it becomes very illustrative, right? I can uh, almost see I-95 south going away. So destination was New York, and you are on that. But see, if I am convinced that I'm on the right track, and I'm on I-95 South, going south, if I meet other people, I would say do the same thing, right? So that I understand. But what I was left with as a question is that, as Luz is saying, there are lots of families, lots of people who have figured out, spiritual growth is important, and they are pursuing that. But are we really helping people to go north? That question I'm not so clear. And it is because, you know, if anybody talks to me, I would talk to them about how to become more uh, accomplished within the world, rather than it's like even me, I I would, you know, and I do give people advice to like how they can do better at work or so on and so forth. Um, so this whole, I don't know, it's the question of balance, or is this like, for example, and I'll just give you an example. Like when I came to high school, I myself started studying psychology because there were things that were happening which didn't make logical sense. And when I started studying psychology, then I understood, okay, it's like people have, people behave this way because, right? Then I was thinking, like, why psychology is not taught more broadly? Why it is not like English and science and math? Because, you know, I mean, people who understand or even manipulate other people because of that understanding become more successful. So it's like that same similar question. um and I mean, one good thing is that Guru Maharaj's process was like, you don't have to give up your family life. You don't have to give up your pursuit to being worldly successful either, right? So I think there should be a little more of how do we inculcate spirituality with worldly success. And I mean, and I maybe it's not I sometimes think about, like, you know Bill Gates continued to acquire wealth by so many different means, and then he said, no, I need to give back. If acquiring wealth was giving what one needs, then he would have been the happiest and most peaceful person. But that wasn't the case, right? So then he started giving back. The question was, you know, you know, so I think you also don't want to put the cart before the horse either. Right? It's like some amount of standing on your own feet is so important. So maybe there is, and I'll tell you, I mean, the reason this question still, it's not a simple question, or it's like lot of parents would fear that if I introduce a little more spirituality than needed in my kids' lives, then they would just, you know, um, like forget about this and would go completely in service. Um, so, so that may be in the background. What do you think, Liz or Warren, um, or Eddie?
That's possibly true. Yeah, I mean, there are so many explanations. But I think part of it is just the absence, maybe, of spirituality in some people's lives. Because I think those who are truly devout, or as you say, have bhakti, I don't know that they would deprioritize. I don't know. I think that they would want that for their kids too, but I don't know. But I don't know everyone's motivation. But I think those that don't stress it, it's unfortunately because they don't have that priority for themselves.
Yeah. So, Warren, anything you want to add?
Good morning, everybody. I don't know. I was just what came to my mind is where sometimes we're and it's kind of maybe far fetched, but where parents send kids off to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and to be to be part of something, but that little boy and little girl eventually they go on their own and they have to find that inner peace um, that Boy Scout, that Girl Scout group of people can't give them, and they have to once they go on their own journey, then they become more enlightened to who they are. But it's very interesting conversation. I just I don't know. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Just going to add that, I think just sort of adding on to what Warren was saying is that when your children are younger, you try to give them as many experiences as you can, and then some which may be religious or spiritual. And then when they get 18, sort of allow them to choose which direction they want to go, um, and not force your beliefs on them, but let it be their decision. And I mean, I know some parents do that intentionally here, so I would assume that that may be a part of why they try not to influence their children's spiritual life.
Hmm. Interesting. I mean, this discussion can go on and on. So, Onkar, anything before we wrap up?
I just wrote my comment. Namaste, bhaiya. Namaste, everyone.
What was that?
Just I just said that the parents themselves don't trust or are aware of spirituality. So if you don't know about something that deeply, probably you would not share that with others. But when parents are awakened, like they know the God. No means like they have experienced the God. Then worldly things don't matter to them, and they would treat their children just like other individual because they are already beyond the worldly relations. So they would treat their children just like other individual and let them do what they want to do.
Hmm. Alrighty. But anyway, I mean, the see, basically, I think if we um, look at Guru Maharaj's way of approaching things, I mean, it was very interesting that he, um, what he talked about. So, my father, my eldest uncle, and uh, I mean, so basically his. Um, kids were very devoted to satsang, but my father was a professor in chemistry till retirement. He continued that. My eldest uncle was doctor, and my middle uncle, he actually, uh, so I was talking about that. So the press that Guru Maharaj established to print the monthly journal and the books that he wrote, so he continued that service for the Satsang family. So all these people had their work, their family, you know. So it was interesting that he felt that utilize the spiritual strength to continue to it's like even work and other things could be the way you give back to the community. So anyway, so on that note, great session. Thanks everyone for being here, and we'll see you very soon. Have a good week.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Mm.
Namaskar,
Namaste,
everyone.
namaste everyone.
Everyone, have a good Saturday.
Namaste, Bhaiya ji. Namaste, everyone.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Thanks so much, everyone.